Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Phyllis.
Hi, I do apologize. I just got interrupted and I got all confused.
We're good. Here we are.
Yes.
Okay, Lee is here and
Lee.
taking notes.
So,
And Alan,
Lee, where are you?
I'm at the airport Hilton. I had,
You're in Boston, not London.
no, London starts Friday. It gets complicated.
I know.
Since we have time, friends here, by the way, so we have
Yes.
a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Um,
Okay, let me call the meeting of the Nantucket Cemetery Commission to order for December 8th, 2021. I declare we have a quorum present, and
we might wait to see if Scott joins because you had some good questions for him.
yes, I do. Scott unfortunately has a dentist appointment this afternoon. So he said, he called me and said he would not be able to attend.
Okay.
And Barbara, I haven't heard anything from Barbara.
Sure, she intends to be here.
No.
No, last meeting, remember she had some kind of difficulty. She got on, but she had to do something complicated.
Oh, probably put in the code numbers and all that sort of thing. I've had to do that a couple of times.
I just used the invitation that I got from the updated one, and it worked fine.
Yeah, the one on the agenda is probably not correct.
Let me just see if I can reach Barbara and find out if she's having difficulties.
Okay.
So while we're waiting, I would like for Phyllis to help me understand.
Okay.
How do you pronounce your last name? Just say it.
Okay. Let me see if I can.
Barbara. Oh, hi, Barbara. Hi, Cemetery Commission. Just checking to.
I can't find the link. I have the minutes. I mean, the agenda.
Use last month's.
And I don't know if you can see this, but let me see if I can chat. And if you can look at the chat, this is how I pronounce it. Easier if I write it.
No, the easiest thing.
Right.
Phyllis,
Hold on just a second. Phyllis,
Yes.
I have Barbara on the phone here, and she can't, for some reason, can't get in.
Was she in the email list that I sent out?
yeah, just resend the link.
Okay.
Yeah, just resend the link out and see if that works. Okay, Barbara, I just had Phyllis send out the link again. So, all right, if it doesn't work, give me a call back. So, all right, bye-bye. Okay, Barbara's gonna.
So Phyllis is otherwise engaged. So let's give her a chance.
Exactly.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me send this to Barbara.
Okay, to answer Alan your question earlier, England, as of this Tuesday past, insists on a COVID test taken within 2 days of leaving. So here in Boston, we're going to go back to the MGH COVID test site tomorrow morning and get tested and hope that it will come into my patient gateway record sometime tomorrow afternoon and print it out and show it to the flight people.
Oh, traveling is such fun.
particularly when it's been made extra complicated.
Right, exactly.
So I had a test on Monday in anticipation of this morning's procedure, which went fine. And it was negative.
Good, good. Congratulations.
So we don't expect anything else tomorrow.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
so to answer your question, that's how I pronounce my name.
Ruguaru.
Guaro, exactly.
Woo-hoo-woo. Exactly.
Phyllis, it has to do with the division of the sounds, the phonemes. I last tried to pronounce it guaru, and that makes two phonemes. I just realized that makes two phonemes where it's only one, because the one is guar.
Yeah, Ruguaro, yes.
Thank you.
Ruguaru. Okay, let me call the meeting to order and we'll see if Barbara can get in. So anyway, didn't I already do that? Call the meeting to order?
You did.
Okay, so I declare we have a quorum present and there's Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Hello.
Hi, Barbara, welcome. Okay, well, let me introduce Phyllis
Ruguaru.
Ruguaru. Phyllis has been the one who has been a really tremendous help over the last 2 months when we've been straightening out the records. So Phyllis and I have worked together. So Phyllis is the office manager now at the DPW. And as I say, she's been incredibly helpful to, as far as getting the issues, let's say, resolved. Okay.
Alan,
Hi.
my welcome to Phyllis.
Yeah.
And Phyllis, double check the DPW website. The last time I looked, your name was not on it.
Okay, I will let them know.
And Fran?
I just wanted to say hello to Phyllis and nice to meet her for the first time.
Nice to meet you too.
Great, great. Okay, to the agenda then. Public comment, seeing no public. The minutes from November 10th, our November 10th meeting were sent out back in November. Any questions, comments, errors, omissions, anything? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes from November 10th.
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Let's take a look.
Okay, so I've got Barbara and Fran.
Mhm.
Alan, because we're being recorded, just a quick roll call.
okay, roll call. Fran,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and the chairman votes aye as well. So those minutes are approved. Lot sales. We have one lot sale to approve today. This is sort of a carryover. It was one of those where the customer hadn't sent in the check yet. So the name, I'm sorry, let me give you the lot first, if I can find. This is lot D14. And we have received a check from Joseph Chmielewski. Let me spell it for you. Chmielewski. And he, as I say, he purchased lot D14, or he sent the check for it. Then we have two release of lots.
Alan, why don't we very quickly approve the sale to Joseph Chmielewski? And
Okay.
I would so move.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Joseph Chmielewski. Second, Barbara. And roll call vote, we'll have Fran,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Chairman votes aye as well. So that one is approved. Now we have two release of lots. These are lots G18 and G19. They we were holding them for Tim Madden, and the lots had never been paid for. So I contacted Tim, spoke with him, and they decided, they talked with their family and they decided they did not need the two lots. So, and they asked for a refund, and we have processed, or we're in the process, I guess, of processing that refund for those two lots. So that will put those two lots, G18 and G19, back on our list of available lots. And
I would suggest, Alan, that this is a chairman's report that does not need a motion.
oh, good. Okay, yeah, no, that's, and we have taken care of that on our records. And okay, Tarloff marker. One of the markers at the Quaker Cemetery was to Mr. Tarloff, and I sent you a photograph of the stone. I received a request from him. The current stone is for his father, and he and his children wanted to have a stone for their separate stone for their mother. In discussing it with him, I told him that, you know, the Quakers didn't, you know, the reason that they didn't have stones was because of the, you know, the Quaker heritage and all that sort of thing, their beliefs, and so on. And I was reluctant to, or I told him that personally, I was reluctant to have a stone. I said I would be glad to bring it to the cemetery commission. But my feeling was that adding an additional stone would add a layer of complication, that there must be a lot of other relatives who would say, oh, well, if we can put a stone in, my great grandmother is buried in there, and so on. So he sort of took that, and he called me back later after talking with his kids and asked if we could modify the existing stone. And so I contacted Scotty, and you saw the drawing that Scotty produced for the existing stone. So the question is, do we want to permit Dr. Tarlov to add his wife's name and dates to the stone as illustrated in the drawing that Scotty submitted? So what do you think?
I have thoughts, but I'd be interested in what Fran has to say.
Yeah.
I personally think there would be no reason not to put a second stone, because I'm quite sure the Tarloffs were not Orthodox Quakers. And if, you know, faced with other people saying that they would want memorial stones for great grandmother or whatever, I don't think that would fly. If we put her name underneath his name and then her dates under his dates on one stone, I feel that that would be very confusing.
It would be crowded.
I personally would prefer for her to have an adjacent stone with her name and her dates separate from his. That's my opinion.
Okay, great. Barbara, how about you? What do you think?
Well, initially I thought that if Scotty thought it was going to fit and look well, that I would support that, but I also respect what Fran is saying. As long as, we would have to do these by case. I doubt we'll have more people. I don't know. I'm open.
Alan, I originally thought, let's object, going back to the tradition of modest markers. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, if he's prepared to pay for another stone, could we do a replacement of the existing stone with one that fits our sizes for a double marker? In other words, we would be left with one stone, but slightly bigger, 2 names, 2 sets of dates. And I'm okay with that.
Oh, all right, interesting. Okay, Dr. Tarlov's initial request was for a separate stone. And so anyway, that's why I told him that, we'd have to discuss this as a commission to see what's what. So we have 3 different alternatives, or actually 4. The first would be to do nothing and just leave it as the cemetery as it is. Second would be to add an additional stone, as Fran suggested, or as Lee suggested, to have a replacement stone with, the 12 by 24 with both names and both dates and so on it. Okay, well, I guess it sounds like there's no opposition to either putting a stone or redoing the stone or doing something like that. So,
well, Alan, it's not no opposition. I think a second stone becomes, it clutters the cemetery, which is why I thought about the replacement stone.
right, exactly. Well, that was my initial response when I talked with Dr. Tarlov about adding an additional stone to the, to the monument. How does this sound? When I'll contact him and give him a choice. He can either replace the existing stone with a newer 12 by 24 stone that would contain both names and dates, or he could simply take the existing stone and add the name and dates to that stone. Does that sound like a reasonable compromise? Let him decide whether he wants to.
Subject to Scott McIver's willingness to do that.
Oh, right. Well, the assumption is that he would pay for either the engraving of the stone or the replacement of the stone,
Yeah.
or the second stone. So,
and for what it's worth, when I looked at the father's name, I realized that the Tarlovs were probably part of the Great Migration from Middle and Eastern Europe, that in which my own family participated. Isidore is a very common name amongst the Jewish immigrants.
No, I understand that, and I didn't question him about.
No, it's irrelevant. They're buried there. The burial was permitted at the time. That's
right.
All we're talking about is the memorial.
I know. I assume what happened is that Ricky Lewis said, "Oh, well, let's see if we can find a." So we'll just put it on top of the hill in the middle of the cemetery. Nobody will notice. I suspect.
It's possible.
Yeah, but who knows? All right. So anyway, it's resolved. Then I will contact Dr. Tarloff and I will tell him that we will approve either replacing the existing stone with a slightly larger one with the 2 names and dates on it, or we will permit him to add the additional name and dates to the existing stone. That sound correct?
Sure.
Good. Okay, well, I'm sure he'll be happy. It was, this is one of the most interesting things about, being on the cemetery commission is that we get these requests like this. So,
I feel, Alan, that we understand better the personality of Ricky Lewis.
yes, I agree. Okay. Quickly, the Pulpis update. There is no Pulpis update. I got an email from Ken Beaugrand. He said he talked with Vicky Marsh, the attorney for town council who's doing the work, and things are moving forward. So anyway, that's the update. As soon as we have anything concrete, I'll do a report a little bit later about the lots that we've sold and about laying out new lots and so on. But so we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a few minutes. So at this point, I want to introduce Phyllis to discuss the lot sales, the procedures, the forms that we've updated. And I just want to comment, Phyllis has done yeoman duty on not only sorting out the issues that we discussed at our last meeting, but also in terms of updating these forms. Remember that it is these forms that are our essential records. So anyway, Phyllis, it's all yours.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Okay. I'm gonna walk through the process, the current processes that we have. I'll do it real quick. Save some time.
Phyllis, just a quick interruption. If you could go to full screen, we don't need the little vignettes on the left.
Okay.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. So again, my name is Phyllis Fruguaro, and I'm the office manager at DPW. I'm currently overseeing the process for the cemetery commission because I wanted to make sure that I figure out what was wrong with the previous process and we can fix it moving forward. I'm just quickly gonna talk about what our goals are right now. We're trying to align our goals in DPW with what the mission is for the cemetery. So what we did is we took the mission for the cemetery and we created our own goals to ensure that we are accountable, to increase visibility, to improve efficiencies and the quality of services, and also to drive those efficiencies, improve speed, quality, etc. So if you look at the previous flow chart, this is what they had. These are the steps that they were taking. You can see there's so many steps. This whole process would take anywhere from 3 weeks to a month. And that was a long time. And I think this is the reason why things were getting lost in transition and there were so many errors in the log, because they would receive the application and just have it pending, but then they would lose the paperwork or not follow up or forget. So the current process is very simple. We have the potential purchaser meeting with Alan, and then they either give them a payment. If they do give him a payment, it comes straight to us. We log it into the spreadsheet. We process the payment in Munis, process a certificate of lot for them, and mail. So this potentially is a same day service. If there's no payment, at that moment, what happens is Alan will bring us the lot application. We'll send the applicant an email, which before what they did was sending them mail. And as we know, mail can take anywhere from 5 to 7 business days. So the turnaround time was taking longer. So we send them an email and we've kind of tested this out, and we're seeing we're getting a response back quicker than the other process. So when we hear back from, if we don't hear back from them 5 to 7 business days, we put a reminder on our calendar to check, and we give them a call and just let them know that their application was approved. And then from there, they send a payment, and then we log it in, process a certificate, and then mail the certificate to them. So the only thing we haven't figured out, we're filing the copies at DPW, but we're not sharing them with the town clerk. So if someone was to go to the town building, the town clerk doesn't have all the information. And that is part of our discussion for Alan and I as we meet, is we're trying to figure out how to get the certificates or the information to the town clerk. So I'm gonna go through the forms. We did update the forms a little bit. After reviewing them, we saw some gaps in the forms. So for example, we added 2 applicant names, and the reason for this is if there was a husband and wife, sometimes they have 2 different last names, and we found this out from the issues we had with the lots that were sold. Some of them, it was just the last name that was different. So having these 2 names will probably resolve that. So we updated that. The other thing that we did was we included a check for preferred mailing address. And we realized, especially summertime, when people leave the island, some people prefer their address in their other address outside of the island. So we want them to pick what address they prefer, because we had someone saying that they didn't receive their certificate, but what happened was we sent it to their on-island address and they had already left the island. The other thing that we did was just add the quantity for the requested lot size, so they can indicate how many they want, because sometimes it can be one person purchasing more than one. So this is an example of the email that we send out when we're requesting, when we're letting them know that the lot application has been approved. We just include the name of the cemetery, the applicant name, and what lot numbers they are. And here in red, we make sure, sorry. Sorry about that. Is everyone still with me?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not putting you to sleep. All right, let's see if we can continue from where we left off. So we have it in red for them to make sure they make the check payable to the town of Nantucket, to include their lot number in the memo line, or to bring the payment to DPW. And also to have attention lot application, so when we're getting the mail, we can know. Another little change that we thought would help, every time we get a lot application, Alan will bring them to us and then he leaves, and then when we're ready to send them, we have to call him back to come and sign. So what we did is we had him pre-sign a template, and when he brings the lot application, this is ready to go. The letter that goes out with the certificate, we kind of just updated it a little bit. It also has my signature in case I'm in a meeting out of the office and they need to send it out, they're just able to send it out with a signature. So one of the things that came up during the issues that we had 2 people that decided, because the lot was sold to more than one person, they decided they needed a refund back. This had never been experienced, so we had to create a form, a refund request form, which we fill out all the information, And then Alan has to come to the office and sign to approve for that refund. And then we send it to finance. So this form is new. It is new to the committee. So this form I've never had to use. So I haven't seen any gaps yet on this. Maybe until I experience monument installation, I don't see anything wrong with it. So I didn't make any changes to that. Same with this, we haven't had many of these coming, so I don't see any issues there, so we left it as is. I'm gonna walk you quickly. I'm gonna take you guys and show you the logs that we have. Give me 1 second. So with the new process, 1 second, it's coming up. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna share a new screen. So this is a log where we log in all the information we receive. So before, this was their main source of truth. This is all they had. And this is where we found all the errors. And as you can see, if you have more than one lot, it's all put in the same row. So it was hard to research or hard to figure out if, it was hard for them to catch if there was a duplicate. So what I did when I started auditing this process is I created this matrix. And what we do now when we receive, go ahead.
Oh, just as impressive.
Okay. So now what happens is when we receive a lot application, we have to come check the log, and then we have to check the matrix. And this matrix, for me, this was the best way to be able to catch any mistakes. It has all the lot numbers. What's in yellow is what is available. What's in blue is what the town has for hold, and also the ones that are in the roadway. What's in green, it's everything that has been sold, and it has the name beside it. So as you can see, and then orange, we're still kind of pending on those ones. We're still trying to figure those out. Those are pending. So what we do is when we get a lot application, if it says E10, we come to E10 and we see, okay, E10 is available. We put the name there, we come into the log and we log all the information there. So this way we have two places to check so we don't make an error. And then this is good for Alan when he's going to meet with lot applicants. He can look and see, clearly which ones are available and which ones are not. And he's able to identify that. Okay?
Great.
So I'll go back to, 1 second, I'll go back to sharing. So those are the logs now that we have. So for the next steps, Alan and I met with IT. We're trying to identify a cemetery software that can help us kind of with the same things that we're doing, that we can be able to log in the information. I would love for it to be able to print a receipt, to print a certificate. I have so many needs for this software that I'm dreaming about, but we've already presented our needs to IT, and IT is working on that. If you do know of any other people that work, in the cemetery commission, and you can ask them, help us find companies, and we can propose those companies to IT, and IT can do the research. Our other next step is we're trying to figure out a way to share information with the town clerk. This is a discussion I'm going to have with Alan in the near future. We're thinking of, instead of giving them access to what we have, we give them copies. That way we're not allowing people to mess with the information that we have. And so that they're not able to go in and do anything to the logs that we've straightened, worked so hard to straighten. And then the next thing I think Alan has already started the process is he's talked to finance for us to review the year-to-date spend, so we can also kind of check it against what we have for lot sales. So that is all I have. Any questions?
Phyllis, this is a very simple one. Could you send to me the PowerPoint and I'll include them in the minutes?
Yes, I will do that.
And do it as a PowerPoint, not as a PDF. And all this has to do with my being able to capture it and put it in the minutes. It's very difficult to grab a PDF with my software. I've got to upgrade.
Yes, I'll do that.
Thank you. Oh, can you go to slide number 3?
Okay.
I think it's the correct one.
Yeah.
Slide number 3 is the new procedure.
Oh,
No. This is-
Yes,
Yeah, that's slide number 4.
this is number 4.
Oh, slide number 4.
4, right.
Yeah.
And you
All
notice how simplified the differences between slide 3 and 4. Slide 3 was, I think, the cause of some of the issues that we had before because of the process. So what Phyllis has done here is really streamline the process so that when these applications come into the DPW, they're a lot easier to handle and less chance of getting lost in the.
Okay, well, I'm going to add a tiny element of complexity on slide 4.
Yes.
We need to put someplace for commission approval.
Normally what happens is when we get down to the once we have the check, once we have the application, and then Phyllis has sent out the form, that's I think actually once we receive the check, then that's where we would approve them at our meeting.
Okay, we either need a separate box for approval, or we need the words approval to go in one of the existing boxes.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So for lot applications, the approval piece of it, is there a time, anytime we ever decline a lot application?
Say that again.
Is there at any time that the committee can decline a lot application?
I think it's the very first box. Potential purchaser selects lot and submits lot application with payment. Commission reviews for approval.
So
Well,
we haven't answered Phyllis's question. Her question is, have we ever declined a lot application? I mean, I think the underlying question here is, does the commission need to approve it?
right.
I would say we do.
Well, I would say that the approval comes when it comes before the commission, as we did with earlier today with Joseph Chmielewski's. We received his check, and it was at that point that it goes into the minutes. There are no, in our regulations, when I was reading over the regulations, I was looking to see if there was any criteria for approval. Because there was on, I forget which form it was, there was a checkbox to, approve the sale, I guess it was. But there was no criteria for approval. So,
Well, Alan, I would suggest that right now, all we're looking at is Pulpis. And as long as the application has 4 or fewer interments, we approve. But we will eventually be looking at Newtown where there's a selection. And I think the commission needs to review and approve that the application is consistent with the regulations.
well, in where would the consistency be? What are we?
Well, Newtown, for example, would have 1 full body and 1 interment or 4 interments. And we would need to know that the application was consistent with the regs. Same with Pulpis. If we had an application that wanted to put 6 interments, we would turn it down. Or we would tell them to revise.
So could it be, so as you're saying, should I just add potential purchaser select lot? And it's approved by,
Well, my concern is that there's almost always a time lag between getting the lot application to the DPW so they can, or whatever, as far as the check. Once, I'm just trying to think of where in the process that approval would fall. And
I would say the very first box where it says with
Okay.
payment, and then our commission reviews and approves. If it's a yes, it goes this way. If it's a no, it goes the other way.
so would it be as easy as when Alan is meeting with the applicants and showing them the lots? Is that an approval, or does it still have to come back to the committee?
good question.
I didn't get all of that, Phyllis.
So I'm asking, the approval, is it as easy as when Alan is meeting with the lot applicant to show them the lot? Is that considered an approval?
No, I am being just a little officious here, but we are the commission and we are the ones responsible for the cemeteries. Consistent with past history, I think the commission needs to know what's happening. And that could be a very simple agenda item as we've just seen.
Well, as I said, I think that I agree with you as far as approval. We need to have a sign off, which is why we come before the commission. Once we have the application and the payment, which is down in the box under the yes part,
Yeah.
underneath the yes part. Or if they mail in the form with the check, so it comes in later, then at that point, it would come to the commission.
So then we're gonna go back to potentially this process to where you get the lot application and then you have to wait for the meeting to present it approved.
Right. We do have, we can read if for whatever reason, and we probably should have some criteria if we're ever going to reject somebody for a lot.
Historically, Alan, we did discuss whether or not an applicant needed to be a Nantucket resident. And I think we all agreed that if they want to be buried on Nantucket, it doesn't matter. They will
Correct.
become a resident once they're buried.
Mhm.
So that was one criterion that we dealt with. My remaining concern is that the application is consistent with the regulations.
Okay.
Well, but in the regulations, there's no, I don't think it mentions anything about uh, approval. There was a checkbox that when, I'm just trying to think, which I think it was on the old lot application form. Or no, I forget where it was, but there was some form to check off for approval. And every time that was checked off, I said, well, what do we, do we okay this person, or, we're
But
not,
Alan, we have voted on every single one.
well,
Why
exactly.
would we be voting on them if there wasn't some assumption that we were approving it? Or
Well,
was it
exactly.
just, because if it's just informational that you're sharing with us that this lot has been sold, that's a whole other procedure, then we wouldn't vote on it.
Exactly. And that's my point, that it's not until we have before us a lot application accompanied by a check that it comes to the commission at that point for a vote. As I say, we just did one earlier this meeting with Joseph Chmielewski. Now, here was somebody who had a lot application. He was given, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and he never sent it back with a check. So it wasn't until we received the check and we had the lot application that it came before the commission to approve. And that was at step number, the step number 3 and yeah, right here, after the yes down at the bottom. Once we had received a check and a lot application, that's where the vote comes in. And if for any reason we wanted to reject a sale, that would be the point to reject it. I would assume that would be the point when we had a commitment that somebody wanted to buy it, rather than, somebody just said, hey, I want this lot. And,
I understand the issue of acceptance versus rejection, and that we do not have a history of rejection. However, the commission is the authoritative group. We've been established by Commonwealth law and the town of Nantucket. By going through a vote, we ensure that there is a record in the minutes, and we ensure that the commission is exercising its authority. Yes, it may be a superfluous moment, but I think it's necessary.
No, I totally agree with everything you just said. As far as approving, they do need to come before the commission. And part of the reason we had this problem before with double sold lots and people not, was because we approved the lot basically when the lot application went out. And so it wasn't, so anyway, we have the same process now in my mind. The potential customer, let's call them, or whatever, contacts the commission, says they want to purchase a lot. We meet them at the lot, show them what's available. They pick out a lot, and then they complete the lot application and they send the check in. That's when it comes to the commission and we vote on it. And you're right, it is absolutely essential that we vote on these, because if it hadn't been for the minutes of our meetings, some of these, some of these things that had slipped by, where people had received a lot application but never returned it, And all of a sudden we had these lots that were sort of in space. So what this new process does, it doesn't impede our approval. We do approve them. In fact, if anything, I think it's a better way to approve them.
So I go back to my original comment. On this slide, somewhere in the boxes, probably the one immediately below the green diamond, it says commission reviews.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. That's exactly where it would happen. Let me just see what it says here. Right, log in the matter and process. Yeah, it's exactly at that point in the box under the yes, or however they get there, whether they send the mail the check in or whether they give it to me and I give it to Phyllis. It comes before the commission for a vote of approval at that point. And you're correct. It is at that, not at the first box, number one, but down at the the box under the yes, put it that way. Does that make sense, Lee?
Yes. It's a simple amendment to the slide, and it restores the commission's authority.
Okay, well, okay. It does, yeah, it does. So what we'll do is we'll add that to that box, say just what, commission approval after, well, I need some new glasses. Oh, after payment to Munis. Or
Well, I have new glasses and I can just make it in.
Yeah.
I can make it bigger.
Log to master spreadsheet and process payment in Munis. Commission approves.
Yeah, right. Commission approval or commission approves, however you want to put it, after to log in to the master spreadsheet and that sort of thing. So no, you're correct. We absolutely do need to approve these because we definitely want to have the person's name and the lot number in the minutes and record it as they have actually paid the check for that lot number. So good. Okay. Well, that we'll add that to that box, and I think that will take care of that. So.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the process that we've just gone over? As you can tell from the two diagrams, I can see just with the old diagram where I met with them, gave them the lot application, and they either would or wouldn't mail it in, or they would mail it in without the check, or whatever. And sometimes there would be a delay, like before our next meeting. If someone buys a lot and it's 2 or 3 weeks before the next meeting, that was, I think, one of the issues that shuffled us around or got us out of order before. So, okay, any other questions on the procedures, the forms?
Good work.
Excellent. I've got to say, Phyllis has really done incredible work as far as pulling together. She and I have met several times, to put it that way, to try and work out some of the details in, so it works for the DPW, because remember, Phyllis as the office manager has, I think, 6 or 7 different responsibilities that she's dealing with. The cemetery commission, she deals with the landfill operation, the take it or leave it, this, that, and the other thing. So anyway, okay, anything else on procedures? Good. All right. I just want to, again, thank Phyllis for all the work that she's put in, literally hours of time and discussions. I think that with these new procedures, with the update to the forms, that this will move us forward. And we'll continue to look at the process, make sure that it goes smoothly, and particularly once we get that connection to the town clerk office. Okay, if there's nothing else on item 5, let me move to item 6. The Ledbetter Swain lot at Pulpis and the Gerhard lot at Old North Cemetery. I sent out a confirmation email today, actually, as I was reading through the minutes for the meeting in preparation for today. I realized that I had talked with them, but I hadn't confirmed. So I sent them an email as far as the form. We don't have a form, for example, for Mrs. Gerhard up in Old North Cemetery, or for Bill Brenizer, or for the Mrs. Ledbetter, or the Swain lot. We don't have a form to fill out, like when people purchase a lot, they get the official form, the right of inurnment, as we call it. And we don't have that for those other situations. So I've talked with Phyllis about this to see if we could just take our existing form and maybe we're not talking about a big deal here. So far we've only got 2 or 3 cemetery lots that are where people don't necessarily have a document. I would suspect that the document itself, particularly when these lots won't be used for a number of years after they're purchased, that the original document may not be available. So that's why it's so important that we have the records for them.
Joe, you and Phyllis are going to take an existing document and edit it to show some form of pre-existing ownership.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to come up with. And maybe it's not even necessary as long as we have a record of their ownership of the lot. But again, I'm going on the assumption that it will probably be the children of the people buying the lots that will, have to find the form and make whatever.
I think a form is a good idea. Yes, my children will go through my papers and say, why did Dad keep all this stuff? Oh, here's one we need. Or the ones that they need, I will have in my safe deposit box. Why don't we just call it ownership form?
Okay, all right. Well, as I say, Phyllis and I will work on that. We'll work out a form. We'll call it some sort of a replacement for whatever the original form was. So, okay. Monument restoration project. We had the company from North Carolina come in. These are the people who were doing the survey of the monuments in the 5 cemeteries, in 5 of the cemeteries with the monuments that may need repair. And they seemed to be quite thorough. I met with them a couple of times while they're out in the field. Scotty met with them out in the field, and Erica came out. Anyway, there were a number of people that came out to see what they were doing. We expect a detailed report on those cemeteries with the condition of the monuments. And once we have that in hand, they will also include an estimate for the work to be done. and they used a three number scale to determine the condition. And when I told them that it was important that we had some sort of price, at least a ballpark estimate of what this work would cost. And she said, well, it depends on whether you do all the number ones or all the number twos or threes, or, whatever the priorities are. And so I asked her if she could do an estimate for the work on the different levels of proposal. So anyway, as soon as that report comes in, I assume it will be digitized, and I'll get that out to the commission immediately. And
I guess Mark and
oh, that's
Kevin.
uh,
Numbers in my head, exactly. She just came out.
that must be in the background there. Okay, anything about the monument? If I remember correctly, Fran, didn't you go out and take a look at, or maybe it was Lee?
I really wanted to, and I asked to be notified about when and where. Never got any notification, so I missed it entirely.
Oh, okay. The only way I knew where they were is because she called me in the morning and said, well, we're going to be over at Old North, or wherever they were. I'm sorry, I should have followed up on that, Frank, because I remember your request. But her initial concern was if we had three of us or at the there, that we had to post the meeting. And that was a concern that Ellen, one of the team members, had. So anyway, as soon as that report comes in, then I'll get a copy to you, and then we'll discuss it hopefully at our next meeting. Cemetery issues. I did speak with Stephen and Andrew, and we have a work order in for Old North and New North cemeteries to replace the fencing in those two cemeteries. What else do we have? Oh, the Quay's dedication. That we have the signs in. I also asked Stephen if the work, as far as replacing those the posts in the corner and the split rails in the corner, that's going to take more work because the brush that's there needs to be cleared before they can go in and do it. So that requires a special piece of equipment and so on. So that's on the list to be done, but
Well, but I think in terms of the time of year and weather, we pretty much need to postpone that unveiling until spring in any case.
right. Well, we decided that last meeting. We put that on, and then unfortunately the signs came out after our meeting. So all right. So we'll wait and we'll see. The cemetery, by the way, looks nice. It's well maintained and all that sort of thing. And I think we're going to have to replace the two signs in the two parking lots because they're metal signs. First of all, they're bigger than I thought. And Ray was initially going to do a hand painted sign on wood, with saying cemetery with the arrow on it, which I think would be a little more discreet. I haven't heard any feedback from the Conservation Foundation yet, but so.
What about, there's also in this same item, burial plan for the remains from the town clerk's office.
Yes. So I emailed Stephen again with a request to ask him how we're going to do that. Who's going to, dig the holes? Because we need 8 holes dug. And it's not as simple as just digging a hole and then filling it back in. Because when you dig the hole, you have to put the dirt somewhere. Normally what happens is you put it on a rug or something adjacent to the hole and, that sort of thing. But with 8 holes to be dealt with, we need to the commission needs to give some thought to how we want to do it. I know we want to do a service. Fran had mentioned doing some sort of a service, and whether we want to do that at the time where we put the ashes in the ground, or whether we can put the ashes in the ground and then do a service once the ashes are in, that's something we have to decide. Yes, Lee?
Alan, I understand the need for immediacy, but I'm going to suggest that we do the interments because Scott has volunteered stones. When we have the stones in place and everything cleaned up, then I think it would be appropriate to have a service for all 8. Otherwise, we're going to be in and out as a work in progress. First, the holes have to be dug, then the urns put in place, then replaced, and then Scott has to figure out where the stones are going to go. I think it just makes sense to get all of that out of the way and then have a discrete service to which we can invite the paper.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Barbara, what do you think?
I think Lee's right. I think wait until we've got the stones perhaps in, and I
Great.
don't know. I
I
don't think
was under the impression it's going to be 1 stone. Is that mistaken?
I believe it is, although I'm not sure, because we do have regulations about the size of the stones, and if we have 4, okay, well, it
We're
sounds
not
like,
going to do 8 stones because we don't have the names of.
yeah, that's true.
So
All
it's
right,
not
well,
how many do we have the names for? How many names do we have?
I
5. So
believe
I
we have
thought we had
5.
discussed that we would put some on one and some on the other,
Right,
because it's in 2 plots. Yeah.
2
Yeah.
plots, correct.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we need to give some more thought to how we're going to do this. I agree with Lee. I think that it would be more respectful once we had everybody sort of tucked away and whatever monuments were going to be there, to have people at that point come and do the service, because it is sort of a memorial anyway, because these ashes have been, or these urns have been, in storage for a while. So
my feeling is the contrary, that if we're going to do something in the cemetery, it seems to me that some words of invocation are appropriate as the remains go into the earth. Otherwise, we're inviting people out for saying, well, here we put them and here's the stone. And that's not much of an occasion, is it? My intuition is it would be far better to have the holes prepared, the clergyman engaged, invite the public as we put the remains into the earth, just as we did for whale oil Gus. And the stone was already there for whale oil Gus, it just was not in place, but it was there. So
Yeah.
why don't we talk with Scotty about what he envisions for the stone, for the inscribed stones.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good point. We do need to know what we're going to do for stones or a stone or stones in that for that. So, okay, well, I'll put that on the January agenda. And so we will give that some thought. I'll talk with Scotty and we'll see what we can do with that. So, okay, anything else on that item?
Good.
Okay, old, new, and other business. I think, what do we have here? Oh, let me just give you a quick rundown of the cemetery lots, and I think that'll be it. Initially, we laid out 135 lots. The 5 of those lots are for town use, 3 of them because the property line goes through, and 2 of them for the inurnments we just talked about. That means that we have sold a total of 109. We're still waiting for checks for 2 of them, but we have, I've been in phone contact with Charlotte Kastner up in Vermont, and with the person out in California, those 2, and both of them checks are in the mail, and we'll have those 2 taken care of. So that will be a total of 21 lots we have available. So we will have sold 109 of the 130 lots that we have. So that leaves us 21 lots available. So that once we get the additional ground from the Hicks, once we get that deal worked out, the next immediate thing will be to get a surveyor in there, and we will lay out the additional lots at Pulpis at that point. So
That's why we really must insist on expeditious work now with the Hickses.
well, everyone is aware of this. Unfortunately, with town council involved, town council is preparing, of course, for town meeting, and this has been part of the delay apparently in Ken Bogrand getting together with. But anyway, he's aware of the urgency. I've gone over the numbers. I just went over with him, and I said, look, we need to lay out additional lots. So anyway, that is moving along, according to Ken. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, anything else on?
Yes, Alan,
Yes.
unfortunately, town council wants a summary of the proposed changes in regulation because town council believes that it will require town meeting approval. This is the note from Erica Mooney. I
Yeah,
responded it to her by saying, hey, wait a minute, we passed the original set of regulations based on a public hearing. We did not go to annual town meeting. And what I'm frightened of is that town council will say, but you should have, so we're gonna have to put the whole thing on.
well, yeah, I did see the memo, and yeah. So we were supposed to meet next Wednesday, right, with the Board of Selectmen? Weren't we supposed to do a report or?
Well, that would be you.
Yeah, no, right, exactly. Is that still on, or is that?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask that you check with Erica.
Okay, I'll check with Erica about that and see what. All right, so regulations. Yeah, you would think a minor change, because I think the only change in there was to for the permission to put the ashes directly in the ground without an urn.
Well, there were two. We were
Correcting names,
And what?
correcting names of cemeteries.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly.
Well, I would call that editorial, but in terms of regulatory substance, we never got approval for the language of perpetual care. So in my mind, it's perpetual care and green burials. And then to add Fran's concern about cemetery names.
Okay. I'll contact Erica and see if she still wants me to, wants me to go to the Board of Selectmen on next Wednesday. So it's the green burials
Perpetual care.
and perpetual care.
And
I thought we had perpetual care in the initial.
we put it into a draft of the regulations, but it's never been approved.
Oh, okay. I thought, all right, perpetual care. Okay, I'll follow up on those two items and see if we do need to go to town meeting. That what a what a joy that would be.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, is there anything else to come before the meeting this afternoon?
Thank you, everybody.
Seeing none, I thank everybody for coming in. And again, thank you, Phyllis, for getting us on the air and being able to conduct this meeting. I hope you found it enjoyable.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great. Well, you're always invited, Phyllis. So good. Thank you. Okay. Well, I declare we are at the end of our agenda then, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much and have a safe holiday.
Alan, it may be a while, not a huge amount of time, but I'll be working on minutes Sunday and Monday. I've got
Yeah.
the town area work group, town area plan work group to deal with as well.
Busy. Okay, no, whatever they get here, they'll be fine. You do
Okay.
such a good job with the minutes that we're
Thank you.
anxious to wait. So,
Bye-bye.
okay, thank you. We'll close the meeting and away we go.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.